This is Brian David Marshall coming to you from the Tournament Center at Pro Tour-Kyoto. I'm here with David Irvine. David is a competitor at this tournament. He's on a super hot streak right now. He was in the top 8 of the Philly 5K, finished 9th place at the World Championships, won the draft challenge the next day at the World Championships, and just last weekend won the Richmond 5K Standard Open playing an Esper Lark deck. In Standard, everyone's been talking about Boat Brew, this red-white Reveillark deck. David's been tearing it up with Esper Lark, and I thought we'd take a look at it. David, tell us a little bit about why you like this deck.
Well, this deck is all about playing the best possible cards in the format, and it really comes down to the synergy between the best possible creatures, which all happen to have 2 power, and Reveillark, which happens to bring them all back. So you've got some of the biggest power cards in the format: Tidehollow Sculler, Stillmoon Cavalier, Sower, and Mulldrifter, and they all have an effect on the game as soon as they hit the board. Glen Elendra is it pretty much locks up the game once you've already gotten yourself into a good position. And you've also got the support cards like Wrath and Cryptic Command and Path to Exile, which are all the best of the best in those colors.
Now, Path to Exile is the big addition to this deck from your Philadelphia version to your Richmond version. And it even the existence of the card sort of changed how you built the deck, because I don't think you had any basic lands when you played in Philly, right?
No, I didn't. I wanted to make sure that the mana was always consistent, so I started off with 5 Vivid lands, 7 filters, and an assortment of pain lands. But as I've been playing with the deck more and more and it's evolved, I've managed to put in a few basic lands and not really hurt the mana base at all. And it's also a nice addition when Path to Exile gets played against you and you're able to search something up.
We did an interview for my column that is up at some point before or after this video goes up, and you had an interesting point about Path to Exile and how you play against the red-white Reveillark decks. Could you describe that sequence of plays?
Well, the matchup is very close. I'd have to say that it's just an attrition war, and they have a lot of excellent cards, and so do you. So in order to break the stalemate, you have cards like Wrath main deck, and you also have Sower, which is a big card because when they play Reveillark, you can Sower of Temptation their Reveillark.
So you take their Reveillark with your Sower.
Right, and it just so happens that the ability on Reveillark is when it leaves play. So if you're able to remove the Reveillark from play while it's under your control, you get the benefit. Now, a lot of times they're going to be forced to use removal on your Sower because they cannot afford the card advantage swing of losing a Reveillark of their own to me.
So they have to take a card, like an Incinerator or
They have to use some sort of removal spell and target the Sower. Now, if I have a Path to Exile, which came in over Condemn with the new set, then I can target the Reveillark right in response to their removal spell, which is a huge blowout.
Huge blowout.
I get the land, I get the creatures back, and they used a removal spell to try and
that play actually comes up for you. That's
yes.
actually a real sequence. That's not just not like fantasy magic. That's
no. Well, the nice thing about this deck is that it plays out so many different ways in almost all the games. So you have the option to set up certain board positions, which I happen to like quite a bit. So since I've played a good number of games with the deck, I'm able to try and herd the game in a certain direction where it gets to a situation where they have to play their Reveillark, I have to play my Sower, and I've been saving this card.
Right. That's great. Now, one of the big things coming into this tournament was how do I beat Boat Brew? How do I beat red-white Reveillark? A lot of players seem to have moved towards a red-white Kithkin deck because it beats Reveillark. Does that deck also beat this Reveillark deck?
Well, it's really just a Kithkin deck that happens to get Mog Fanatics to deal with Stillmoon Cavalier, which I think it's a good evolution for the deck. But at the heart of the deck, it's really just a white Kithkin deck, and they still get blown out by cards like Sower of Temptation, Wrath of God, and Stillmoon Cavalier.
You just have such an advantage over creature-based decks.
Right. Those 12 cards are just so good against like the black-white token decks and the Kithkin decks because they're based in creatures and they just happen to be. I can have a card that's protection from their deck.
It's terrific. Dave's off to a great start in this tournament. He's got to hustle over to get to another round, get started, shuffle this back up. Make sure you shuffle it really well.
Oh, I will.
We'll be back from the Tournament Center with more updates, more deck techs, and lots more magic. This is Brian David Marshall and David Irvine.